Hello everyone. FIDE Grand Swiss tournament has started in Isle of Man, and this tournament is a very important tournament for the World Chess Championship cycle. You might ask me why. Well, the top two finishers from this tournament will be selected to play in the Candidates tournament, and from that Candidates tournament one challenger will be selected who will compete against the one and only the world chess champion Ding Liren. So you can understand the likes of Fabiano Caruana, Hikaru Nakamura, Anish Giri, and so on. Top players from the world are participating in this tournament. In the first round of this tournament, Caruana played a very interesting game which I am going to show you in this video. So guys, stay tuned till the end and enjoy this game. I really love this game because Caruana played a very interesting opening that is called as the Drago Najdorf Opening, which is the mixture of dragon and the Najdorf Opening. I'll be going through all the details in this video, so let's begin. In this game, Ivan Saric was playing from the white side. He is a very classy player, I will say, from Croatia. And from black side, Fabiano Caruana, who is no introduction is needed for him. He is a top class player, a legend you can say. He's playing from the black side. The game starts with e4, black plays c5, knight f3, d6, d4, c captures d4, knight captures d4, and then knight f6, knight c3, and here Caruana plays a6. This is the starting position of Sicilian Najdorf Opening. We all know this thing. But after bishop to d3, Caruana decided to play in a very different way. Normally in this position, black can go for e5, which is a very common move, I will say, if you are going to play Sicilian Najdorf Opening. But he was in a different mood today. He decided to play g6, which is like he is trying to play Sicilian Dragon Opening also, and he is taking the setup of Sicilian Najdorf Opening. I will talk a little bit more about this opening after some time. So let's play some moves further. White plays f3, which is a very common move. Bishop to g7, and now bishop e3. Now in this position, black plays knight d7. Okay, so what I want to tell you that I will go a little bit behind and show you. If you don't play a6 and if you decide to play directly Sicilian Dragon Opening, then you will go for g6, then probably f3 might be played, then bishop to g7, bishop e3, and then you can castle, queen d2, and then knight comes on c6 square. Pay attention to this thing. In Sicilian Dragon Opening, knight lands on c6 square, and usually black doesn't play a6. Okay, they try to play knight e5, bishop d7, rook c8, and then they try to play b5. Maybe a sacrifice also you can say will be played, but a6 is not played and the knight is not placed on d7 square. Whereas in Sicilian Najdorf Opening, usually black plays a6, and after, let's suppose you play f3, then e5, and if the knight goes behind in the position, then bishop e6 come, bishop to e3, and knight goes to d7 square. Okay, usually black goes for knight d7 and not knight to c6. So in this game where Caruana is played after a6, he decided to play bishop d3 and play g6. This is called as the Sicilian Drago Najdorf Opening, which is a mixture of Najdorf and the Dragon Opening. I hope you got it. So now we will move further here. f3, bishop to g7, bishop to e3, and then he plays knight d7. Mixture of the plans you can say. On the king side, Caruana is developing as if he is playing Dragon Opening. On the queen side, he is developing his pieces as if he is playing Najdorf Opening. Queen to d2 was played by white, and now he goes for b5. Of course, he needs to do something in the position because white might be going for long castle followed by g4 and all. So black is preparing his own attacking possibilities by playing b5 and expanding on the queen side. Okay, so white plays a4. He discards the possibility of long casting in the position. Then black plays b4. Knight on c3 is under attack. Knight goes to e2 square, and now in this position a very common move which is there in Sicilian Dragon Opening is like whenever you get a possibility to play the pawn in the center of the board, you should go for it, and he plays d5. Although I think like castling was also a viable option in the position, but white will be getting a very quick attack on the king side. That's what I believe. That's why he did not go for the castle and he decided to play d5 move. Well, after d5, white decided to play bishop to h6, and then bishop captures h6, queen captures h6, and now he captures on e4. Just to let you know, now in this position all the complications started happening. Okay, and it's a very complicated position where white and black both needs to play in a very precise way. And here bishop captures e4, knight captures e4, f captures e4 happened. And then Caruana decided to play the queen to c7, developing a piece, you can say, which is very nice. Okay, white castles in the position and gets the rook in the game. Now this rook on f1 is going to attack the pawn on f7, and the threat of queen g7 and attacking f7 as well as the h8 is still there in the game. Now in this position, I think bishop b7 was one of the options in the position, but he did not play it, maybe on the grounds that white can play queen g7, rook to f8, and there is a very interesting idea is there, knight f4, with the idea of playing knight e6, maybe a possibility I can say, which is there, because after knight to e6 there will be some attacking possibilities on f8 and c7, both the things. Of course black can defend against everything, but I think that was the one reason why he did not play bishop b7, and he decided to play knight f6 in the position, blocking the path of the rook, which is very natural. Okay, any player will go for this thing. He will think like, why to give any chances for white to attack on the pawn on f7, and further in this position is like queen to g7, and then rook g8 can be played, and the queen needs to go back in the position. Okay, that's the one of the ideas which I can feel in this position. But white was not in a mood to play simple chess. Maybe in this position a simple move will be rook to e1 or c1, like this maybe you can play, but he decided to play a sacrifice in the position. You can think about this position, you can take a pause also and think what will happen, what will not happen. I'll just tell you one thing, that white decided to capture on f6, and now after capturing on f6 he is hoping that he is going to get a lot of counterplay against the king which is seated in the center of the board. But Caruana defended the position very well, and you need to pay attention to the defensive skills of the world-class player like Caruana. Here white plays queen g7, attacking the rook on h8 and the pawn on f6. Okay, so first of all he saves the rook with rook to f8, then queen captures f6. White doesn't want black to long castle in this position, because if black kings goes in the corner of the board here on the queen side, then he will be safe, and he will be having a very decent position, and maybe as you are exchange up you can expect that black can go for the winning advantage. Okay, but what I really like this game, why I really like this game, is because black's defensive ideas in this position. From this position, within 5 moves Caruana develops his pieces, he gets all his pieces for the defense of his king, and then once the king is defended, then you know what happens, and in meantime he creates his counterplay also. So how did he manage to do all these things? We are going to see further. Stay tuned with me and enjoy the video. Okay, and you can also hit the like button if you are still there with me till now. Bishop to b7, then white plays knight to f4. He plays queen d8 because he understands that the queen on f6 is a very powerful piece, and he needs to dislodge this piece from this square. Okay, so queen e5 check was given, queen to e7. Now queen moves to a5 square, and now in this position he brings the rook to c8 square. So first of all he played the bishop b7, then he kicks away the queen from f6 square, he places the queen on e7, and now he brings the rook. So slowly and gradually black is getting the pieces in the game. That is very, very interesting, I will say. And now white plays knight d7. Okay, one thing I would like to tell you, that in any of the position if you capture the pawn on e4 will be a little bit risky, I will say, because white can always get the rook to e1 square, and there will be so much pressure on the e file, and I really don't think so that Caruana wants any of the white's pieces to come in the game with some pressure, right? So here he did not capture on e4, rook to c8. Again in this position also capturing on e4 is a little bit risky because your king is still in the center of the board. But if you don't do anything and if you just sit tight in the position, you might be ended up in a bad position. And these top class players understand this thing, that they need to find some counterplay for their pieces. And that's why in this position Caruana decided to plunge into the center of the board by playing next move, that is f5. Okay, he wants to open up the his rook in the position. Rook needs to come, and maybe if the rook comes in the position, then some things might change. Okay, white says, okay, I'm going to play knight f4. This, I think that a little bit of wastage of move. Maybe I would have preferred to bring the rook in the game, maybe via rook to e1 or something like that. But he plays knight f4, which is like, earlier the knight was already on f4 square. He went to d3 and again came back to f4 square. That is a little bit tricky. And just to let you know, in this position already he thought for 19 minutes, okay, means on this particular move. And the move is not that impressive. Here Caruana played f captures e6, e4, then the rook is coming in the game, you can say. Knight comes to e6 square, attacking the rook on f8 square. And now the move which was played in the game, I really like this move. He plays queen f6. The idea is, of course, if you play any random move, okay, just to let you know, if b3 kind of a move is played, then queen f2 check, king h1, and queen f1 will lead to a check and mate in this position, you can say. White doesn't have any squares to go around. Okay, very interesting checkmate. And if you capture on f8, thinking that you might be getting the rook back in the position, but the problem is that now white will be in trouble after queen captures d4 check. King will go inside here, and then we can just capture the piece on f8. Black will be just piece up in this position. Okay, so fair enough, the f8 rook is not hanging, so white makes a square to run away with h3 move. Then he plays rook f7, saving the rook in the position. Rook comes to e1 square, and now the game is over. He plays queen f2 check, the rook on e1 is under attack, king h2, and queen captures e1. The game is practically over, but still Ivan Saric decided to play some more moves because he is hoping for some miracles, you can say. But Caruana is a very tenacious player. He plays rook to e7, and now after knight to b3, queen f2, he decided to throw in the towel, and white just resigned. I hope that you enjoyed the game analysis. It was a very crazy game. The way Caruana defended in this game is really fascinating. I really enjoyed this game, and it is a very instructive game. And if you like this video, then analysis, then do like the video, share this video with your friends. And if you're new to the channel, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'll be meeting very soon in the next video. Till that moment, thank you and love you all.